The news begins in Niger State, where following the tanker explosion at Dikko Junction, Gurara local government area of the state on Saturday, the Niger State Emergency Management Agency, NSEMA, has put the number of deaths from the incident at 86. Now, according to a press statement issued by NSEMA Director General Abdullahi Baba Ara, the remains of the deceased were recovered and buried in a coordinated effort by NSEMA, Gurara local government authorities and volunteers. Of the deceased, 80 were buried in a mass grave at the Dikko Primary Health premises. Now, 5 others were handed over to other families for burials while within the town, and 1 individual succumbed to injuries at the Dikko Healthcare Center. The mass burial, a somber and challenging task, took place between 5 p.m. and midnight, involving brave and compassionate volunteers who worked tirelessly to ensure the proper handling of the victims. Earlier, we were joined by our correspondent Joshua Marai for more updates.
Dikko Healthcare facility here, and 2 others actually lost their lives from the hours of yesterday to this moment. But based on what we see so far, some men of the Federal Safety Corps were here earlier in the day. You were here earlier where they tried to assess the situation and look at some of the spilling content from the tank, but where it is still actively spilling. And the place has not been condoned from the public here, because residents of this community, of this Dikko Junction, they have free access to the tank, and that should be a case of worry for the appropriate authorities. The place has not been condoned. Based on what you see, citizens and residents of the Dikko area, they still have free access to the tanker. It is a case of worry. Me, myself, I am worried over here because there's still active content, combustible content in those tanks, particularly in the tank standing afar and the one lying across the road. There's still actively combustible content in this tank, and it's a case of worry. The resident of this area might try to ransack the remains of this already fallen tanker. But anything could happen, and this is actually a call to the relevant authorities to do something to block the free access of people from their communities to the tankers here.
In the same vein, we were joined by public affairs analyst Jide Ojo, who shared his thoughts on this.
That has been happening followed the same pattern. A truck will usually tumble, and then instead of people to move far away from it, they want to either go and scoop fuel or whatever. The Dikko Junction, the one that happened earlier today, from what I gathered, a tanker driver had an issue, and they wanted to move the fuel from one tanker to another, and in the process they brought a power generating set to be able to power the pumping, and it is in the course of that what happened. And quite unfortunately, we've lost scores of people, 73 or thereabout, dead, about 50 injured and in hospital. That's huge fatalities. And remember, recently we had one that happened in Duse, in Jigawa State. And it's always messing after death, mourning and shouting and lambasting and kicking and, passing the ball. But I think what we need more of is enlightenment, because things like this, particularly when you have very bad road network, you cannot 100% prevent accident from happening. But when it does happen, there is always the need to get people to move away as far as their legs can carry them from that scene, rather than staying behind and saying, I'm doing my own business, I don't have to run. Because if the people around that accident scene realize the inflammable nature of the fuel that was being pumped from one truck to another, they will know that there could be conflagration that could consume everything in its path. And unfortunately, many of those who are caught in this crossfire are just bystanders and people who are doing businesses in their respective shops and all of that.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has expressed deep sorrow over the fuel tanker explosion, which caused the death of over 80 people, with many also injured. In a statement released Sunday, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu expressed deep sorrow over the tragedy, offering condolences to victims' families and the people, and also the government of Niger State. The president condemned the incident, calling it both tragic and preventable, as many of the victims were reportedly scooping fuel from an overturned tanker. Tinubu ordered immediate medical care for the injured and directed security and road safety agencies to take swift action to prevent such disasters in the future. The ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, has won 16 out of the 18 chairmanship seats in the local government election in Ondo State. Now, the chairman of the Ondo State Independent Electoral Commission, ODEC, Joseph Ayemo, declared this at the headquarters of the commission in Akure on Sunday. He noted that while the rescheduled election is being held in Ondo West local government, results are being expected from Owo local government area. Only 12 political parties contested for the chairmanship and councillorship offices in the elections held on Saturday. Now, ahead of the poll, the People's Democratic Party announced its decision to withdraw from the election, saying it does not believe in the Ondo State Independent Electoral Commission to conduct a credible election. Away from politics, now the pump price of premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, has reportedly surged to between 1,050 naira and 1,150 naira per litre, depending on the area of purchase. This follows the recent hike in the cost of the commodity by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and various depot owners. Dealers confirmed that petrol prices are expected to continue rising due to sustained increase in the cost of crude oil, the major component in fuel production. On Friday, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery announced an upward adjustment in its PMS price, raising it from 899 naira per litre to 955 naira per litre at its loading gantry. The Labour Party in Nasarawa State has reaffirmed its full support for National Chairman Julius Abure, aiming to take the party to greater heights. The state chapter also congratulated Abure on his recent victory at the Court of Appeal in Abuja, which validated the party's March 2024 National Convention in Anambra and confirmed his leadership. The judgment, delivered by Justice Hamma Barka, relied on a previous ruling in November 2024 in a case involving the Labour Party and the Independent National Electoral Commission. State Chairman Alexander Ombugu praised the court's decision, calling it a testament to Nigeria's legal system and the party's commitment to democratic principles. He urged aggrieved members to resolve differences amicably to ensure the party's success in the 2027 elections. The Akwa Ibom State Police Command is set to enforce compliance with third-party insurance policies starting February 1st. According to DSP Tim Fon John, the command's public relations officer, the enforcement is in line with the directive of the Inspector General of Police, Dr. Kayode Egbetokun, and the Insurance Act. Vehicle owners without valid third-party insurance will have their vehicles seized and taken to the nearest police station. The vehicles will only be released upon presentation of valid insurance documents. The police command warns its officers to avoid unprofessional conduct, particularly extortion. Now, third-party insurance is mandatory and covers legal liabilities for injuries, deaths, or property damage caused to others in an accident involving one's vehicle. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll tell you how NDLEA arrests student for attempts to ingest 76 wraps of cocaine. Details of this and many more after this break. Stay. Thank you for staying with us. Now, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have thwarted an attempt by 26-year-old nursing student Esther Onyinyechi Uzodimma to ingest 76 wraps of cocaine before boarding her return flights to India. This was disclosed in a statement by the Director, Media and Advocacy, NDLEA Headquarters, Abuja, Femi Babafemi, on Sunday. The suspect, a 200-level nursing student at Noida International University in Uttar Pradesh, was arrested in Kano on Thursday. Esther had planned to travel on Qatar Airways Flight 1432 to Delhi from the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport the next morning. But however, NDLEA operatives intercepted the cocaine consignment concealed in an audio speaker on a commuter bus along the Okene-Lokoja Highway in Kogi State. The courier was arrested, leading to Esther's subsequent apprehension. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, Taraba State University Chapter, has called off its strike, which began on 5th December 2024. In a statement released on Saturday in Jalingo and signed by the union's chairperson, Dr. Garba Joshua, the strike was attributed to the state government's partial implementation of agreements concerning university funding, payment of earned academic allowances, and minimum wage adjustments. Now, Joshua thanked Governor Agbu-Kefas for his leadership and intervention in resolving the issues, as well as the Ministry of Tertiary Education and the public for their support. The state government has pledged to address the union's concerns, committing to disburse 10% of the earned academic allowance arrears, with payments set to commence in February 2025. Meanwhile, the university's second semester examinations are scheduled to resume in the coming days. Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun has approved the distribution of new kits and uniforms to personnel of the Nigeria Police Force as part of efforts to improve officers' welfare and enhance professionalism. The initiative, announced by the Force Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi on Saturday, aligns with Egbetokun's vision to improve working conditions and raise professional standards within the force. Egbetokun also expressed optimism that the approval of the 2025 budget will facilitate more welfare-focused projects to further support officers. The Nigeria Police Force says it remains committed to maintaining a well-equipped and motivated workforce to ensure the safety and security of all Nigerians. Economic activities, including farming and improved healthy living, are among the new breath of life to be experienced by the members of Tudunwada Kabong communities in Plateau State following a new road construction in the area. It is a 6.95-kilometer road that has witnessed a facelift within the 21 months of Governor Caleb Mutfwang's stay in office. Now, News Central's Chizoba Nyongwe tells us more.
Residents of Tudunwada and Kabong communities cannot contain their joy at the road construction work in recent times within their communities, noting the challenges they had faced in the past.
Honestly speaking, for the past 4 years that I live here, when I cough, it's just dust that I normally used to bring it out.
Our machine, they spoil for this road. You go buy machine before 1 year, go don't spoil. How we go do? How we go manage with your family?
Kai, I suffer no be small. My children, they no fit come outside because of dust. My house, before I will sleep, I will carry bedsheet, remove the dust before I will sleep. Kai, I suffer, I cry.
If there is rainy season, you can't climb the bike, because when you climb the bike, you fall with the bike. You injure yourself, you end up in the hospital.
It is a 6.95-kilometer road that has been left fallow. Government administrations have come and gone, but this time around, these community people are gladdened for this new phase of life.
I sleep on top of the titi yesterday. I turn. Kai, I feel like I'm in heaven. I thank Munufa very, very much.
We dey pray so God go help Caleb Mufan. with the people, with the community. All this community, we they pray for Kale Mufan.
Thank God to this governor. He has remembered us. Indeed, he's a man of his word. He promised to visit this carbon community, and he has done it.
Authorities in Plateau State say members of this community should expect more basic amenities.
Those houses that we need to shift, they need to understand that the little we have for the compensation, they will not get all now because not all is released. So, but they have to give way so that this road will continue.
We promised that we're going to fix this road. Today you can see that we are keeping to our promises. Yes. We are not going to relent. We are going to make sure that this road gets to the last point.
Safeguard this road, keep it well, guard the street lights, and ensure that every government facility is well protected.
And as a local government, we are going to support His Excellency with other facilities like primary health care and even water supply within the community.
We have done 60 so far, 40% expected to be. Because these are this was a too tedious terrain which we have overcome now. Here is just compensation, demolition, and alignment. We forge ahead.
It is expected that this road rehabilitation project, when completed, will pave the way for smooth transportation, reduce the risk of accidents, and promote economic growth, among others. In Jos, Plateau State, for News Central, I am Chizoba Anyoe.
And now we move to Borno State, where a young Almajiri boy, Suleiman Adam, known as Abba Kaka, has turned his life around with a simple display of his creative talent. After developing a detailed artistic replica of the recently inaugurated overhead bridge, his work went viral thanks to a report by News Central. Now, this remarkable story has led to life-changing opportunities for the young, talented African boy. News Central's Umari Kirawa, who has been following up with the Young Boys Initiative, completes the report.
Exactly 6 days after the report of the young African talent, Abba Kaka Adam, the Borno State government has stepped in.
The Zulum administration has always prioritized the education of the less privileged child. You could clearly see that this is a child with a very high IQ, extremely intelligent boy. So I have decided that as part of the component of innovation in our ministry where we harness talents, I am going to enroll him back in a regular school so that he will have a proper education background so that eventually we could have an architect in him. I have spoken to the commandant of the command school here in Maiduguri to enroll him on state scholarship. So he's going to be sponsored free and would follow up. As he spends the first 3 years, we will enroll him into a proper technical school where he would realize his dream of being an architect.
We moved to Command Science Secondary School, Auno, where the young Abba Kaka was admitted on a full scholarship, supported with books, uniforms, sandals, mattress, among others, to ensure he receives a quality education.
In this
school, we have over 300 students brought in by the state government. So, as you can see, you have entered our classes and you have seen, and we hope that what we are doing will going to be appreciated and will be supported.
Abba Kaka's parents were also provided with financial aid of 250,000 naira for the upkeep of the boy and to improve their living standards.
Alhamdulillah, askrinya ala rangala ala nera mukara sir ala kijira sir askrinya ala rotara imku monti so ala kijin tamayo.
Ala gumnati ya kamande ala ba habsu kuma asinde baraz askrinya udune ngana na yimba udebra dai gumnati no yi gozna alhamdulillah ni jeri dama kirawa ni ma dem lem fanni fanni so rum fanni so ko to so gonum dai isum so do ham dai isa akira wa is fu wono dai asngana ala kamande ala nyi ndim ko azkamande asngana wallahi tara yin kira da ala shi ilmu chukumande ala insan bana zakmande ala so ya sama bana zakmande.
These are some of the drawings made by Abba Kaka during his leisure time.
Umaru Kirawa has helped us by making sure that he connects the family of this boy and the Honorable Commissioner, and we're very, very impressed that in less than 24 hours of the entire thing, this child is now enrolled in school, and he's not only enrolled in school, but one of the best schools that we have in the Northeast, because we have seen how productive and how progressive-minded the students of this school are. Some of us have 1 or 2 relatives coming to this school, and we have seen how progressive these kids are and how different they are from their other peers that are outside there.
The Borno State government has pledged to continue to support talented individuals as part of recovery effort for the state after years of Boko Haram insurgency.
Governor Zulum has set aside over 10 billion naira this year for scholarships just for these purposes. And it is our intention to build our citizenry so that we become a hub for innovation and skilled workers in future.
Abakaka's story is a powerful reminder of the transformative impact of creativity and the need to empower more children from underprivileged communities. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Thank you, Umaru, for that. It's a very interesting report. Now, wives of serving military personnel in Nigeria have been tasked to display a high sense of respect and regimentation reflective of their ranks or the ranks of their husbands in their everyday activities. This was during a training on protocol and emotional intelligence organized by the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association in Abuja, where they urged the women to be models of good conduct. Amadin Uyi reports.
The training had in attendance women married to personnel from across several ranks in the nation's armed forces and the Nigeria Police Force. The training, organized by the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, seeks to build the capacity of women to enable them meet the high expectations required as wives and spouses of personnel serving in the nation's armed forces.
How do you recognize your emotion? How does emotion show up in your body? And then when you recognize the emotion, how do you understand what that emotion is all about? And then how do you manage your emotions?
Protocol is that officers salute and respect the rank higher than their rank. The women should imbibe this culture as it will help to ensure order in the relationship among women.
The women were also tasked to meeting regimentation requirements expected of their husbands in their everyday relations with one another.
The military community thrives in a disciplined environment. Hierarchy, rank, and seniority are never downplayed because they are essential anchors of our social organization. Junior military wives should respect senior military wives. While senior military wives, I want to stress this, while senior military wives should show love to junior military wives and guide, mentor them.
The wife of the Chief of Defense Staff says that the training is essential to keeping the women out of trouble and maintaining their self-dignity.
The armed forces is about orderliness and protocol. And if you know the order, if you know what to do, how to relate, and who to address at different times, it will help you more, and you will know where you are meant to be at a particular time, and you will not infringe in anybody's right. You will not get people angry. Also, you will not get yourself into trouble.
The Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association also tasked the women to stand by each other and ensure that they are good examples in good conduct to the public. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
And to include all the demographics.
Now away from Nigeria, violence has erupted in South Sudan with 12 people killed in the past 2 days in attacks targeting citizens from neighboring Sudan. The clashes were sparked by reports of 29 South Sudanese killed in Sudan's Al Jazeera state, leading to the looting of Sudanese-owned businesses in the capital, Juba. Police fired on protesters, killing 3 and injuring 7. A curfew was imposed, but protests spread to other towns, resulting in 9 deaths in Awil. Now, despite the unrest, police report that the situation is relatively calm and the streets of Juba appeared calm on Saturday evening with a heavy police presence. South Sudan President Salva Kiir has called for restraint. Over 600 Sudanese have been taken to army headquarters for protection, and 278 others are under police protection. The violence highlights the ongoing tensions between South Sudan and Sudan, which have been exacerbated by the conflict in Sudan that began in April 2023. Ugandan opposition leader Kizza Besigye has been placed in solitary confinement at Luzira Maximum Security Prison. Besigye, who is on trial for charges including treason, is being held in a cell where he is not allowed to interact with other prisoners or attend prayers. He is only permitted to speak to visitors, including family members, via telephone. Prison officials have refused to allow supporters to provide Besigye with food from outside the prison. His wife, Winnie Byanyima, alleges that he was kidnapped in Kenya in November and is now facing prosecution on trumped-up charges. The trial has sparked concerns about suppression of opposition in Uganda ahead of the 2026 presidential election. The international community has expressed concern about the treatment of Besigye and the conduct of the trial. The UN and human rights organizations have called for fair and transparent proceedings. Away from that, Tunisians have rallied in the capital, Tunis, demanding the release of opposition leader Abir Moussi, head of the Free Destorian Party. Moussi was arrested on October 3, 2023, outside the Carthage Palace while attempting to deliver a legal request to the Presidential Registry Office. Protester Tamir Saad condemned her detention, stating that it was not worthy of a country that claims to be democratic. Moussi was charged with making statements that allegedly undermined the integrity of the Independent High Authority for Elections, following her criticism of the election process, which was ultimately not held. Saad and other protesters argue that Moussi's arrest reflects a broader failure to uphold democratic values in Tunisia.
Vous savez, elle est en prison. L'état physique ne peut pas être un état physique normal pour quelqu'un qui est en prison. Quelqu'un qui ne se nourrit pas bien, quelqu'un qui ne dort pas bien, quelqu'un qui a toutes des difficultés parce qu'elle a des difficultés à l'épaule et au dos. Donc tout cela nous dérange beaucoup, nous inquiète même.
الكل يعرف أنه السجون التونسية أصبحت تمتلئ بضحايا المرسوم 54 من صحفيين وإعلاميين وسياسيين وشباب ومدونين. أصبح هذا المرسوم يعني عبئا ثقيلا على المجتمع التونسي. هي مسيرة مشفوعة بوقفة أمام وزارة المرأة كان قد دعا إليها الحزب الدستوري الحر. يعني هي مسيرة وطنية دعا إليها جميع أطياف المجتمع المدني. الشعارات التي رفعت فيها هي شعارات وطنية تنديدا بالوضع الاقتصادي والوضع الاجتماعي والوضع الإنساني ووضعية القضاء الآن.
In other news from around the world, thousands have gathered in Washington, D.C. to protest the incoming Trump administration at the People's March. Organizers expect up to 50,000 participants, while police estimate around 25,000. Now, the march comes ahead of the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump, with final preparations underway. Due to cold weather, the ceremony has been moved indoors. Trump is scheduled to arrive in D.C. later for a series of events before being sworn in on Monday. The protest and inauguration are drawing significant attention, with tension surrounding the transition of power. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned that Israel reserves the right to resume fighting in Gaza with U.S. support despite a ceasefire set to take effect. In a televised statement, Netanyahu pledged to bring home all hostages held in the Palestinian territory. The ceasefire agreement includes the release of 33 hostages, mostly alive, in exchange for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. The 42-day first phase of the ceasefire starts Sunday, but Netanyahu emphasized that it's a temporary ceasefire and that Israel will resume the war with force if necessary. The Israeli military continues to launch attacks in Gaza, citing Hamas's failure to provide a list of hostages to be released as the reason for not honoring the ceasefire agreement. Now, according to Israeli army spokesman Daniel Hagari, the IDF continues to attack even now inside the Gaza Strip as long as Hamas does not abide by its commitment to the agreement with all that it implies. The situation remains tense, with the ceasefire hanging in the balance. The international community is watching closely amid concerns over the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Gaza. The Israeli military's action have sparked fears of renewed violence, threatening to derail the fragile ceasefire talks. The Israeli military's insistence on a hostage list is seen as a key condition for implementing the ceasefire.
נכון להבוקר, חמאס לא עומד במחויבותו, ובניגוד להסכם. לא הועברו עדיין למדינת ישראל שמות החטופות השוות עד השעה הזו. בהנחיית ראש הממשלה, הפסקת האש לא תיכנס לתוקף כל עוד חמאס לא עומד במחויבות שלו. צה"ל ממשיך לתקוף גם כעת, בתוך מרחב עזה, כל עוד חמאס לא עומד במחויבות להסכם על כל המשתמע מכך.
Malaysia has officially taken the reins as chair of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, with Foreign Minister Mohammed Hassan hosting the Foreign Ministers' Retreat in Langkawi. In his opening remarks, Hassan emphasized the importance of inclusivity and sustainability as the guiding principles of Malaysian leadership, highlighting the pressing challenges posed by the climate crisis. The retreat brings together foreign ministers from the 10 member states to discuss key regional issues. Asian Secretary General Dr. Kao Kim Hoon is also participating in the event. The meeting is seen as a crucial opportunity for the bloc to address pressing concerns, including the ongoing Myanmar crisis.
Malaysia has the distinct privilege of chairing ASEAN this year, and I would like to take this moment to commend the Lao PDR for successfully advancing ASEAN's agenda last year. Excellency, how can we address the climate instability that has settled on the world? First thing first, we must build our geo-economic resilience to prepare ourselves at all times for emergencies, to not only survive but to thrive together. The best way to do this is by centering intra-ASEAN trade and investment, and we are ideally positioned that make regional economic integration our highest priority. Together, we are the 5th largest economy in the world. We have a combined GDP of 3.8 trillion and a total population of 677 million people. There is immense potential here for continued growth, but we are so much stronger together. We must continue to promote intra-regional trade and investment to shield us from further shocks.
We'll take a break now, and when we return, we'll bring to you business and sports news. Stay with us.
The Nigerian equities market closed the weekend in January 17, 2025 in the red, as bearish sentiment and heavy sell-offs in Dangote Cement, which lost 16.5%, Transcorp 8.8%, MTN 3.7%, and FBN Holdings 3.3%, dragged the all-share index down by 2.9% to 102,353.68 points. This decline wiped out recent gains, pushing the year-to-date return to minus 0.6%. Market activity slowed significantly, with trading volume and value plummeting 52.4% and 31.2% respectively. The industrial goods and insurance sectors bore the brunt of the sell-off, with the NGX Industrial Goods Index plunging 8.2%, while the insurance index dropped 6.2%. Despite the broad market downturn, the NGX Consumer Goods Index bucked the trend, rising 1.3%, driven by a 16.7% gain in Dangote sugar. Analysts attribute the losses to profit-taking and waning investor confidence after a prolonged rally. Elsewhere in Africa, Botswana's economy is forecast to grow by 3 to 4% in 2025, following a contraction in 2024, driven by a rebound in the global diamond market and growth in the non-mining sector. This is according to Walter Medicani, Director of Macroeconomic Policy in the Finance Ministry. The economy contracted by 3.3% during the first 3 quarters of 2024, with weak diamond sales prompting Botswana, a joint venture between Botswana and De Beers, to lower production guidance to 17.9 million carats. Improved mineral revenues are expected to narrow the budget deficit from 6.75% of GDP in 2024-2025 to 3.6% in 2025 to 2026. Finance Minister Ndaba Golath will present the 2025-2026 budget in February. And finally, TikTok is on the brink of being banned in the US as a deadline looms for the Chinese-owned platform to cut ties with parent company ByteDance or shut down operations. The Biden administration has dismissed the company's last-minute plea for assurances, increasing the likelihood that the app, used by 170 million Americans, will go dark on Sunday. The Supreme Court upheld the ban in a unanimous decision on Friday, and Biden has made no move to delay its enforcement. Without intervention, tech giants like Apple, Google, and Oracle could face legal risks for continuing to host the app. However, a potential lifeline may come from President-elect Donald Trump, who has hinted at a political resolution. Reports suggest he's considering an executive order to pause the ban for 60 to 90 days. TikTok CEO Shou Chu is expected to attend Trump's inauguration, signaling possible negotiations ahead. And that's a package on business news at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly.
Now in the world of sports, Nigeria's junior female Yellow Greens are now focused on their next challenge against New Zealand after their 2025 ICC Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup debut against Samoa was abandoned on Saturday due to an unplayable wet outfield. The much-anticipated match at the Borneo Cricket Ground in Sarawak, Malaysia, was called off, leaving both teams with 1 point each. Head coach Sarah Bakita expressed optimism despite the disappointment, while Captain Lucky Piety highlighted the importance of securing a point from the abandoned game. Nigeria's next match will be against New Zealand, who lost to South Africa earlier in the day, and South Africa currently leads Group C, followed by Nigeria and Samoa, with New Zealand in 4th place. Pierre Gishlin Acho, who officiated Nigeria's 2-1 loss to Benin Republic in last year's World Cup qualifying duel, will officiate the Zamalek versus Eyimba Confederation Cup match in Cairo on Sunday. He will be assisted by his compatriot Boris Marles Ditsoga and Cameroonian Karen Atizampong Foko as assistants, while Gabonese Tanguy Patrice Mebemi will be the 4th official. With just 3 knockout spots remaining, Eyimba sits 3rd in Group D with 5 points, desperate for a win to advance. The Nigerian side previously held Zamalek to a 2-2 draw and now aims to upset the defending champions on their home turf. Now that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's remind you of our top stories. We told you that President Tinubu has mourned Niger tanker explosion victims as death toll rises to 86. We also told you that APC has won 16 of 18 Ondo local government chairmanship seats after PDP boycotts. Finally, you heard that clashes erupted in Sudan over reported killings of South Sudanese. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.